Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. Now it's that time again. The recent Thursdoid was dropped on June 22nd of 2023, which means, as always, I'll be covering it in this video, talking about everything you'll need to know and summarizing the best bits from the blog post, with some speculation thrown in here and there. As always, if you find the video useful or get some good information from it, please do consider dropping the video a like. It's a massive help to the channel, and if you find yourself watching my stuff regularly, maybe subscribe for more zombie-themed stuff just like this. Alright, so into the blog post. I'm going to start with the smaller section of the blog and the bits that we got some footage for in this one, as there's a hefty bit of wordage for one particular element of this post, and I'd like to leave that until last. We were given just over a minute of footage this week showing off some new map design for rural areas, which is exciting stuff as it's being merged into the internal testing builder as soon as the day after this blog article was posted. This is a sign of great progress. Obviously, I'm sure there will be some testing and tweaks needed, but generally speaking, this is usually a sign that a feature is mostly complete. The new footage features areas such as a lakeside building with a boathouse, some gnarly looking warehouses that have been overgrown since the outbreak, and a road blocked by a passing train on the tracks. Interesting stuff. There's no mention of whether this is a replacement for existing areas or specifically from the new area of the map that we've seen teasers of in the past, but I guess we'll have to find out more in the future. Further to last week's blog, which showed some of the same, we also got a couple of images this week showing off some more cosmetic hats and some face masks too, that I suspect would fit into any Halloween style server event that multiplayer servers might be thinking of hosting in the future. In other news, Ateron has been working on improvements to the new sandbox menu, mod menu, and general mod settings. The devs say that the settings panel had become so vast and unwieldy that they needed to redesign it. There will now be a search function, as well as some simplification for newer players, and a section of more advanced settings for experienced players. The idea is to make it easier to work with the server settings while simplifying the addition of mods to the mix. Blair continues his work with farming, specifically remaking farming interactions and its associated UI. He is currently putting some work into the animations that needed tidying up from some of the footage we saw in the last dev blog. Now, in the next section of the dev blog that I wanted to cover, Fenris has been working on some Discord integration features. Now, I've never really used the Discord integration for Project Zomboid, but some of this stuff sounds pretty cool, and from what the devs are saying in this segment, it wasn't particularly usable before now. So currently, chat within Discord rooms should be transmittable to in-game chat and vice versa, but the code the devs are using is somewhat out of date and doesn't work all that well. With build 42, the developers wanted to bring in some new code, new features, and polish the whole experience. Server operators will be able to use Discord for commands that trigger certain events on the server that will change gameplay. There's no mention of specifics here, but I'd imagine things like change in weather could be a good example of how to use this. There will also be admin-controlled radio or TV scripts that can be executed using multi-line text from Discord servers, which sounds like a neat way to engage with players during events or perhaps for some roleplay usage. The developers note that this is all very limited and walled off, and the game side of the Lua code will require some custom additions for these Discord interactions, so there won't be any security risks associated with Discord operations like this taking place. This system essentially is aimed at providing server operators and roleplay events some more tools to mess around with. Alright, so now that we get to the wordy part of the blog post, which focuses on some crafting, more specifically the use of a machine scripting system that Turbo has been working on for the last couple of weeks. We're given about 3 minutes of footage here, which shows an example of this in use, which I'll leave playing in the background. Now, as I talk about this and summarize the developer's wordage here, remember that this is just one example of how this script can be used, and that it may well transfer over into lots of other types of machines, not just the one example we see here. The developers are working on potter's wheels, anvils, woodworking benches, and state that the goal here is for for all machine appliances around the map to utilize this system to unify how machines work within the game itself. They then note that whilst this won't be present in its entirety for build 42, the framework will be installed and will allow for not only a shared UI between machines using these systems, but also allow for them to be connected together. Interior parts can also be salvaged from these machines and co-opted for other uses. The example given are fire alarms, clocks, microwaves, and ovens. The developers then state the ramifications from this system will be huge for both the game and for modders hoping to utilize said systems, allowing for machine UI and functionality to be both scriptable with Lua and with object scripting. In short, this will provide a base for modders or developers to make functional machines of various natures and purposes quickly and efficiently. There will be slots to place items, modifiable outputs, and the allowance of various items interacting with the machines in all kinds of ways that the creator can determine, all with a consistent UI. The footage we're seeing of a vending machine being used in the background here is a test of versatility, as the devs put it, for how this system could be applied to vanilla objects within the game and how far they could push the system itself. They wanted to apply this system to an object that wasn't strictly a crafting system as a proof of concept. So again, whilst the vending machine is the example here, and I'm sure many servers or modders could get some amazing usage out of this, it's important to consider that the system behind this machine and how it can be used in other instances. We see the use of currency to purchase items from the machine, which I know would be useful for player-made shops or trading stations, and the use of various buttons to initiate functions. There's more that the developers have written on this section, but again, to avoid it being overly wordy, I've tried to condense it down to the important stuff. As always though, if you want to give the dev blog a proper read through, there will be a link in the description to the full blog post for those interested. That's about it from this blog post, and as such, that's it from me in this one, but I'd be interested to hear what you guys think of the new machine systems especially. Let me know in the comments what kind of things you'd like to see it used for, or what you'd use it for if you had the know-how. As always, a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters for backing our mod development, getting involved with our Patreon-only Project Zomboid server, and of course for supporting the channel. Link in the description if you want to join them. I'll see you all in the next one.